Good everyone, my name is Brian Pendo, a second year based in criminology. Today I'm going to discuss about institutional correction module 4. So the topics that I'm going to discuss today is about the institutional based correction, structures, management, standards, programs and services in the Philippines, the two system based approaches to corrections, the Bureau of Corrections, Public Act 10575, custody, security, and control of prisoners, care and treatment of prisoners, release of prisoners, good conduct time allowance, or the JCTA, prohibited acts subjects to disciplinary action, BGMP, Republic Act 6975, Republic Act 9263, treatment of special needs or unusual offenders, emergency plans, movement or transfer of prisoners, detainees, privilege of detainees and sentenced prisoners, the regional rehabilitation centers for youth, the Child and Youth Welfare Code, the death row, and the role of the radio of Amparo. So let's tackle first about the institutional based correction. Polity, community, and in this institutional based correction have both similarities and differences. The similarities in these two functions are that the individual is going through the treatment on the inside and they are continuing in it on the outside. So of course, let's say that the difference is the community-based correction are you either placed on parole or given probation, and institutional-based correction means that the individual is placed in a prison or jail, which means they are housed in a secure correctional facility. So the primary goal is to focus on rehabilitation and regards inmates as patients who need treatment and guidance in order to become productive and responsible members of society upon their release, which is the reason that they implemented the different programs. So it focus of rehabilitation which will be needed a guidance to a patient in order to be well upon their release and take that reason to implement some programs. Institutional structures influence disputing by channeling the ways in which conflicts can be transformed. So, for example, courts often have strict rules of evidence that limit what kind of information may be included in the construction of a case during trial. Institutional management. The process of laying out plans and organizing available production resources to run a successful organization can also be called strategic financial management step, and institutional management generally include identifying the current situation, identifying the desired situation, and determining the steps necessary to get there. So, institutional management means management of different programs and activities. This tends to the uh, realization of the prime goals of every educational institution. In order to realize the prime goals of every educational program of an institution, there is need of coordination in management. Now let's proceed to institutional standards. The requirements set by the Minister under Part 5 of the Act that specify the features characteristic what is considered to be the effective performance, operational, and general conduct of recognized tertiary institution. The institutional standards means the standards of conduct and business practices customarily engaged in by financial, sound, medical, and medical research, institutional entities comparable to tenant, and those standards of conduct and business practices or any further required by the IDD zoning classification of premises. National standards means standards adopted by a national standardization organization and made available to the general public. And the international standards means standards adopted by an international standardization organization and made available to the general public. So the next is treatment program. The first, person education, to provide the prisoners a background knowledge about what is morally right or wrong. It includes academic education, vocational education, and physical education. So, prison education is any educational activity that occurs inside. Course can include basic literacy programs, secondary school or program vocational education, and tertiary education. So the next is work programs is purposely to eliminate on the part of the prisoners which may contribute to prisons for and it affects the incidents of prisons riot. So work programs is uh, good for the prisoners because they will get a chance that they can have money, but the advantages is the prisons will be hit in riot if they were both not like each other. So the third one is religious service in prisons. Its primary purposes of this program is to change the attitude of inmates by inculcating religious values of belief. So they will get a chance to be change their attitudes, especially if they're always read the Bible at prisons. Recreational program is designing, staging, and delivering leisure opportunities by intervening in social interactions by manipulating and creating environments in a manner that maximize the probability that those who enter them will have the leisure experiments they seek. So it's recommended that prisons also offer social and cultural activities. This can various forms such as writing workshops, regular film projections, theater or music performance or classes, as well as artisanal and visual arts creation. So, manipulating and health services. Health services consist of medical professionals, organization, and ancillary health care workers who provide medical care to those in need. So the first one, substance abuse treatment. So this means that substance abuse is the repeated harmful to use any substance, including drugs and alcohol. So it needs a session of medical care or the administration of the dose of medicine. And the second one is the nutritional support. Nutritional support is therapy for people who cannot get enough nourishment by eating or drinking. You may need it if you can swallow, have problems with your appetite, or severely malnourished. So the third one is laboratory and diagnostic care. Lab tests and diagnostic procedures are tests used to check if a person's health is normal. For example, a lab can test a sample of your blood, urine, or body tissue to see if something is wrong. A diagnostic test like blood pressure testing can show if you have low or high blood pressure. So the fourth one is the physical and occupational therapy. So it means that physical therapy or PT and occupational therapy or OT are types of rehabilitative care. While they have similar goals and treat many of the same condition, they also differ. PT focuses on restoring or improving movement, strength, and range of motion, while OT aims to provide the motor skills you need to perform daily tasks. So let's proceed to the next one, the two types based approaches to correction. So institutional based treatment program. It is the process or result of formal training in school or classroom intended to shape the mind and attitude of prisoners towards good living upon their release. So the focus of institution treatment should be preparation for continued treatment on the outside. The message to the offender is that this is the beginning of the treatment commitment and the continuing care be arranged upon their release. So the next program is the community-based treatment programs. Refers to a specific integrated model of treatment for people affected by drug use and dependence in the community, which provides a continuum of care from outreach and low threshold services through detoxification and stabilization to aftercare and integration, including maintenance, and it claims effective in reducing recidivism. So, the community-based treatment is the most cost-effective approach to support people affected by uh, drug use and dependence. Evidence from across the world has shown that patients using community-based service have a significant decrease in the number of hospital stays, emergency room visits, and terminality. So the next is the Bureau of Correction, R8 10575. This act shall be known as the Bureau of Correction Act of 2003, Section 2, Declaration of Policy. It is the policy of the state to promote the general welfare and safeguard the basic rights of every prisoner incarcerated in our national penitentiary. So, the purpose of prescribing and applying the necessary rules and regulation for the strengthening of the correctional service. Custodial institution means any entity that holds as a substantial portion of its business financial assets for the account of others. So, an entity hold financial assets on behalf of other persons for trust or a foundation custodial institution. The other persons are the beneficiaries of the trust. Certainly, the custodian is not holding the assets on behalf of the settlor. So the next one is the security and control of prisoners. Prison security is crucial to maintaining staff and inmate safety in a correctional settings. Security in prisons includes but is not limited to managing restrictive housing population, classification and assessment, managing special population and security audits. So the so uh, so the BGMP is mandated to direct, supervise, and control the administration and operation of all district, city, and municipality jails nationwide with prompt task of safekeeping and development of inmates. Security audit training. The prisons division of NIC is seeking candidates for the security audit program in order to be considered for participation. Its agencies must submit a three-member team. Team members should be in a supervisory role within the agency and in a position to affect change within the organization. So it means that the security audit is a comprehensive assessment of your organization information system. Typically, this assessment measures your information system security against an audit checklist of industry best practices, external established standards, or federal regulation. Prison staffing analysis. Capitalize on staff strength and abilities by using the right people in the right position at the right times. This is the essence of staffing analysis and it relies on the decision makers' competence to use their knowledge and understanding of basic staffing concept, post identification, shift relief factors, critical staffing levels, and more to accurately assess staffing needs for new or existing facilities and operation. So, it seeks to provide guidance that will enable an agency staffing administrators to set up an agency staffing analysis unit and produce a staffing analysis report for an entire agencies. So the next one is care and treatment of prisoners. All prisoners shall be treated with the respect due to their inherent dignity and value as human beings. There shall be no discrimination on the grounds of race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. As so this means health promoting prisons do not focus solely on prisoners' health. The health and well-being of staff is equally important. Working in prison often involves being confronted with difficult health matters, violence, bullying, mobbing, and mental health problems. As well as with poor quality and overcrowded living conditions for prisoners, with severe consequences on their psychosocial well-being. Well, let's proceed to the release from prisons. Upon upon release from prisons, the victim is likely to transcend his aggressive sexual attitude to raping other members of his community in an attempt to regain his manhood. So the release process for most prisons is pretty straightforward. On the day of their release, inmates are let out of their cells earlier than others, so they can receive a set of normal clothes that they try to the day before to sure it fits. But the disadvantage is that they were vivac to a criminal behavior. The next one is the Good Conduct Time Allowance or the GCTA, Republic Act 10592 or the Good Conduct Time Allowance or GCTA law allows for a reduction of sentences of persons deprived of liberty depending on how well they abide by rules and regulation inside any penal institution, rehabilitation or detention center, or any other local jail. This law in relation to Republic Act 7659 or the Death Penalty Law reported does not cover PDL who have been convicted of heinous crimes as enumerated in RE 7659. So the Good Conduct Time Allowance, or the CGTA, is a sentence reduction probation awarded prisoners who show good behavior. It has been in existence since 1906. Act 1533 provided for the diminution of sentences imposed upon prisoners in consideration of good conduct and diligence. The application of the GCTA law resulted to the supposed erroneous release of at least 1,904 inmates, a large majority of which already surrendered or returned to government custody at the behest of President Duterte. So, prohibited acts subject to disciplinary action: participation in illegal sexual acts, public display of pornographic materials, obscene language, and giving gifts, selling or engaging in barter with anybody, gambling, caution of reprimand, cancellation of privilege, deprivation of GCTA. So, it simply means reprimand or corrective action is response to employee misconduct or violation or poor performance. Depending on the severity of the case, disciplinary action uh, can can take different forms, including verbal warning, a written warning, a performance review, or evaluation. Acceptable disciplinary action are verbal warning, written reprimand, suspension, and termination. So it it involves persons to like be organized and regulated by identifying behaviors which constitute infringement to the rules of communal life, and by establishing sanction in case these rules are violated. So the BGMP, or RE 6975, it is hereby declared to be the policy of the state to promote peace and orders, ensure public safety, and further strengthen local government capability, aim towards the effective delivery of the business service to the citizenry through the establishment of a highly efficient and competent police force. So the BGMP is the one who supervises and controls all district, city, and municipal jails. So online services mandated to direct, supervise, and control the administration operation of all district, city, and municipal jails nationwide with prompt tasks of safekeeping and development of PDL, or in short, the BGMP works in the jail. We are the one who ensure the public safety in jail. The Republic Act 9263, an act providing for the professionalization of the Bureau of Fire Protection, or BFP, and the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, or the BGMP, amending certain provision of Republic Act number 6975, providing funds thereof and for other purposes. So it is declared policy of the state maintain peace and order, protect life, liberty, and property, and promote the general welfare essential for the enjoyment by all the people of the blessings democracy. The Next is the treatment of special needs or unusual offenders. Well, the social needs of offenders requires extra attention while in prisons because they are vulnerable due to their gender, physical and mental disposition, and social status. This special attention needs to involve all criminal justice stakeholders and other agencies in the assessment and treatment of these offenders in order to ensure they are not harmed by imprisonment but are rehabilitated and successful reintegrated. I will briefly highlight on the Kenya prison's perspective on special needs offenders, especially offenders with mental and physical disabilities, the elderly and female offenders. So emergency plans. These emergency preparedness plans guideline outlines procedures to improve the protection of lives and property through effective use of institution resources and tennis board of prison institution. So emergency plans promote safety awareness and shows the organization commitment to the safety of workers or even the prisoners. The lack of an emergency plans could lead to severe losses, such as multiple casualties and possible financial collapse of the organization. Since emergencies will occur, pre-planning is necessary. A minor emergency, any potential or actual incident that does not seriously affect the overall function capacity of the institution. A major emergency, any potential or actual incident that substantially is, disrupts a significant portion of the overall operation of the institution. And now let's proceed with the privilege of detainees and sentenced prisoners. Although not afforded all the privilege of free citizens, a prisoner is assured certain minimal rights by the U.S. Constitution and moral standards of the community. Detainees are individuals who are kept in jail even though they have not been convicted of a crime. So all prisoners shall be treated with the respect due to their inherent dignity and values as human beings. There shall be no discrimination on the grounds of face, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. Transfers. All prisoners are assessed prior to transfer. Routine transfers. Prisoners can be transferred at any time. Prisoners are responsible for telling family where they are. Common reasons for a transfer include access to services and facilities, rehabilitation, and progression to a lower security prisons. The prisoners is inducted at the new prisons and property and approved telephone less transferred with the prisoners. So now let's proceed to the securities classification transfers. Towards the end of the sentence, a prisoners may be transferred to a lower security prisons. Misconduct a lower security prisons may result in a transfer to a higher security prisons. So, offenders' sentences, including transfer and security classification, are administered with public safety as the primary consideration. Regularly assess the risk to ensure offenders are placed at the appropriate security level. So, requesting a transfer, a prisoners may want to transfer to another prison to be closer to family or their home community. So, they can they can request that they want to transfer if they want to get closer to their loved ones or family. Prisoners who wishes to be transferred should speak to their case manager and ask for a request form. So that's what they need to have a request for a transfer. Uh, International transfer. Transfer must be arranged between both countries and they must both agree on the condition of the sentence. This process can take a long time. Prisoners can apply for transfer to countries that we have agreements with. The final decision lies with the receiving country. The person we have to pay to cost of transfer. So international transfer is not easy to make that because they can take a long time to process this and you can also pay big money to cost of that transfer. So the next is the regional rehabilitation centers for youth. The RRCY is a facility designed to provide intensive treatment in a residential setting for the rehabilitation of CSL whose sentences have been suspended. It serves as a nurturing out-of-home placement for children in need of rehabilitation. Um, because there are cases that a child is conflict with the law or CICL refers because it refers to a child who is alleged as accused of or adjudged as having committed an offense under the Philippine law. What is the purpose of youth welfare agencies for the life of the child? Refers to the service and activities designed for the care, protection, participation, and rehabilitation of children and youth in difficult situations and ensure their social adjustment, total growth, and development. So let's proceed to the death row, also known as uh, con- condemned row, is a place in prison that houses inmates awaiting execution after being convicted of a capital crime and sentenced to death. So they are in the part of a prison which contains the cells for criminals who have been sentenced to death. The role of the right of amparo. The application of the right of amparo is a remedy available to any person whose right to life, liberty, and security is violated or threatened with violation by an unlawful or omission of a public official or employee or of a private individual entity. So, literary means protection. It's a remedy available to any person whose right to life, liberty, and security is violated or threatened with violation by an awful law of public or employee or a private individual or entity. So, right of amparo is a remedy available to any person's right to life and uh, uh, okay guys, so this is the meaning. What does the right to life, liberty, and security means? So the first, life, the right to live, to be alive. It is a life live with the assurance that the government he established and consented to will protect the security of his persons and property. Next is liberty, the right to exist and the right to be free from arbitrary restraint or servitude. The next is security, freedom from fears, guarantee of bodily and psychological integrity of security, and guaranteed of protection of one's rights by the government. And the coverage, the I shall cover extra-legal killings and enforce disappearance of or threats. Extra-legal killings, these are killings committed without due process by law, legal safeguards, or judicial proceeding. Enforced disappearance, the arrest, detention, or abduction of persons by or with the authorization, support, or acquiescence of a state or a political organization, followed by a refusal to acknowledge the deprivation of freedom or to give information on the fate or whereabouts of those persons with the intention of removing from the protection of the law for a prolonged period of time. So, it is the act of making someone disappear against their will, often suddenly. It before refers to the arrest, detention, or abduction, abduction of persons, followed by a refusal to acknowledge the fate of that person. So the purpose is both preventive and curative roles. Nature of the right, the not criminal in nature. It partakes of the nature of a prerogative right that does not determine guilt nor pinpoint criminal culpability for the disappearance. So that's all guys. Have a nice day.